Okay.
we'll know.
Okay, we're on.
We're ready to start, board meeting for April 3rd, 2018 at 2 PM. If we could stand for the pledge to start. And Jody, you wanna start?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Reverend Mary Cooper, if you would like to come up and do our prayer for this afternoon.
Please remain standing.
Over there,
First of all, I'd like to say I've looked over your agenda, and I see there's a letter regarding the highway department, how beautiful they were when someone needed help. But I do want to comment them on the fact that they did such a great job in the snow. Amen? All
Which
right.
storm was that?
Amen to that.
Praise God. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father God, we thank you for another opportunity to come before your presence, oh God, and to ask your blessing upon these, your people, oh God, that you have placed above us. And you said that we should always pray for those who are in leadership. We ask that you continue to give them wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, oh God, that the people of this town may continue to grow and glow and flow, that they also will be able to have their thoughts and their ideas look carefully at, oh God, so that our people and our young people can continue to grow in this town. We give you praise, glory, and honor for what you're about to do in this meeting, oh God. May there be a meeting of minds, oh God, for the benefit of all people. We give you praise, glory, and honor, and we thank you for this new season. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you,
Thank
Reverend
you.
Cooper.
Thanks.
Mr. Wooten will be joining us. He will just be a few minutes late, so we will go on, and to Diana, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, did I get everybody the, minutes from the March 20th meeting? Did anybody want to adopt the minutes from the March? We don't have the 19th yet, just to let you know.
So I'll give a first for the approval of the minutes of the meeting for March 20th, 2018. Can I get a second?
Second?
First and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes?
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Under correspondence, it says 4 letters, but we only had 3. There was a duplicate in there regarding comments on the CAT purchase at MCAL. There was also a very nice letter from Kerry Flanagan thanking the highway superintendent, Gio Woodson, for his prompt response in filling a pothole that she noticed the town about. Under reports, total tax collection to date as of March 22nd, $89,055,000. That's a nice even number. And the building department, their March monthly report was submitted for $43,660.75. Town clerk March monthly report was $10,311.02. And that's it.
Okay, and I just, are these letters up online, these correspondent letters?
They're not
They're not-
posted,
they're
but
not posted.
anybody can request them.
Okay, and then we also, just for as far as the qualified and eligible hearing, we did receive the operating agreement from Pat, and that is posted online, and it continues to be open for written comment until April 6th, at which point I think we need to have a discussion with the board whether we'll keep it open for more comment after that, just because there may be a crossover where the written comment, and we haven't received everything back from Kat yet that we have requested, so I think we need to decide if we're going to leave it open in order for the public to be commenting on all of the information we receive from them.
So will we be discussing that at a public work session, comparing the information as to whether or not all the questions were answered?
Well, we'll wait till the 6th. We'll see if we get everything back, and at that point, then I guess probably at the next board meeting, or we can determine, probably at a board meeting, not at a work session, what we will do from there.
Okay.
Whether it will be opened or what we'll do. All right, that being said, we will move on to our public hearings. We have 3 public hearings tonight. The first of the public hearing is at 2:05. It is now 2:10. And it's the consideration of proposed local law to amend chapter 251 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Noise, Public Nuisance, and Property Maintenance, Article 3, Rubbish, Refuse, and Rank Vegetation. This is about bamboo. If anybody wants to comment on any of the public hearings, after we call the public hearings, you would come up to the podium. announce your name, and you can comment at that point. So if there's anybody that wanted to comment on the first public hearing? Did you want to comment on this, Bob, or was this one of us?
Yeah, I mean, as Mr. Anderson stepping forward, I did want to acknowledge that he had come in to see myself and Deputy Town Attorney Anne Marie Prudente last week, brought to our attention some things that he had concerns with respect to the legislation that's being proposed. We, as a backdrop, had looked at this. We were looking to add it to our current chapter 255 as noted, which already deals with various property maintenance, public nuisance and noise type of issues, and thought that it made sense. One of the things we looked at as part of our discussions at code revision was, I think, the Town of Oyster Bay legislation, which I believe may be something that Mr. Anderson may touch upon, running bamboo versus clumping bamboo, and some differentiation and some ideas as to whether we're maybe a little bit overbroad with the brush here. This is something that we are looking for comments on, and I have a gut feeling we might be doing a rewrite on it.
All right, but I mean, this is specifically the point of the public comment, is so that when we propose something, we have the public hearing so that for people to come up and comment and to, you know, offer suggestions and, on the legislation. So the floor is yours.
All right, so as you said, my name is Rodney Anderson. I'm actually a member of the Farm Preservation Committee. Mr. Wooten is our rep on that. He was supposed to be here. He said he was gonna talk to everybody about the situation because we had it come up. Part of this comes up as bamboo is a crop that is grown by nurseries out here. We know that a lot of the fear comes in when people hear the word bamboo, they think of something that's 40 feet long and grows across everybody's property, which is not what it is. There are examples of that is true. There are also examples of that are banned in the state of New York right now, and I would be willing to say probably 90%, if not more, of what you see out there is material that's already banned. Phyllostachys aurea and Phyllostachys aurea sulcata, the two types that are already banned by the state of New York under the Invasive Species Act. And just as a side note, they didn't even qualify under the Invasive Species Act. The state just felt that it was an item that they should add on anyhow, because it doesn't seed out or anything else like that, but most people are pretty familiar with it. Just to put down what I had on here. So I'm here to speak against the code in the hope that you will defeat it or exchange it for a different one. To start with, it'll hurt growers like myself, as well as owners that are others that are retailers and growers within the town. Some plants listed have no reason to be listed. That was where the example came in for the clumping type bamboos. Clumping bamboos don't move. They grow about 1 inch or 2 a year in width. Your ornamental grasses can spread faster than a clumping bamboo can grow. That is the majority of what I grow. The understanding of the issue is that spreading bamboos, of which there are already state laws banning, are the cause of most of the complaints. There's no reason to include clumping bamboos and others in there to be banned because they are no threat to homeowners. Running types can be controlled with barriers and containers so they can still be enjoyed in the landscape. There are also problems with a lot of the definitions, as Bob alluded to, the scientific definitions and examples in the beginning of that legislation that can be cleaned up. I did talk to him about a lot of that. We understand that the intent is to give homeowners the rights in controlling spreading bamboo from their neighbors. And I have nothing against that. I actually am in favor of that. I believe that people should be responsible for what they plant and what they grow. But a more comprehensive and better code would work with that. And at the same time, there are still collectors and people out there that like to grow the material, myself included. I do have it. I have a lot of it in containers. It doesn't spread from containers, and like I said in there, as the legislation also mentioned, you can put barriers in, and the barriers will contain the material and keep it in. One of the suggestions I had was anything within 50 feet of a person's property line gets a barrier. There was also a discussion on remediation because they included items with town property and town rights-of-way and roads and things along those lines. And I would suggest you reconsider some of that as well. I do believe it needs to be maintained, and I believe a property owner should be maintaining it, mowing it, cutting it, whatever they need to do. I don't think Geo would appreciate it if a homeowner was told, well, since your bamboo grows up to the property line, go in with a backhoe and start digging it out, because you have everything from power, phone, water, curbs, drainage, things along those lines in there. So I really think that that needs to be rethought as well, as far as removal from those locations. And I understand it can be prevented from there, but if you start digging things up, you come, and natural gas, of course, too, you come up into a whole different situation there as well. But I believe that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, since you do grow the bamboo, there are a lot of different types of bamboo. So instead of adding, do you think it would be better to just name those that are allowed versus what is not allowed? Would that be more comprehensive?
Not really. I understand that the separation, in my opinion, separation between the clumping and the running is a huge difference. So right there, the clumping, anything to do with clumping should be pulled out.
Well, I think they differentiate it with the rhizomes. There are some clumping that do spread fairly large.
But once it starts making a long rhizome, it becomes a runner. Then it's considered
Okay.
a running type. Because even some of the varieties that are listed on there are tropical. You can't grow them here. I have seen towns pass codes where it actually was illegal to have it as a houseplant, because the way the code said, you could not have it on. In the state of New York, in that band, it'll tell you, no transportation, no propagation, no planting. You can't do anything with it. If it exists, it can exist, but if the plant is on the list, you can't do anything with
Can't
it.
do anything.
Nothing. And that's how, except remove it. You're allowed removal in most cases. There are some cases you're actually not even allowed removal of some plants on that list. So, and some types are only inches high, so you don't even know it's there. There are some bamboos that grow about 3 inches tall, and that's all they grow. Then, of course, there's some that grow 30 feet tall. So there's different types that way.
Okay, thank
I have a
you.
question. What you submitted to me, would you want that to be made part of the record?
No, let's work on it first.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Peterson, 17 Madison Street. My concern here, I mean, I personally am not a fan of bamboo, but my concern here is for those among us who have property that already has the existing bamboo, and the way there's some things and restrictions on there that I'm a little vague on, a little concerned about. 2A is fine. I think most people can figure that they should keep the bamboo away from the street, just, away from town property. But the problem becomes when you're adjacent to your neighbors, and that seems a lot more, I think an unintended consequence could really cause a lot of monetary damages and arguments among neighbors. If you go up Riverside Drive and the surrounding neighborhoods, there's lots of people who have had stands of bamboo for years. I mean, longer than I can remember. And I'm now qualified to become a member of the AARP. So this is a concern for me and my family. And, to say 10 feet from the town property, but then in the next paragraph to put, to my way of thinking, strict, I think it's intended to be less strict in case someone's using it as a barrier, if they put up barriers. But you can have your bamboo more than 10 feet away from a property line and have it send out a runner underneath the property line to the neighbors, and have that neighbor make a complaint requesting that you pay for it to be removed from their property, which, would be perfectly legal under this. And I also have a problem with the statement about reasonably expected to prevent such bamboo from invading. One person's definition of reasonable might not match another person's definition of reasonable, and so I find that a little bit vague. I'd like it to be a little bit more clearly outlined, because if you're clear before you make the legislation, it leaves less open for interpretation after it's passed. And that's my current issue is, I mean, I've got neighbors who, every neighbor is complaining that the bamboo's from the adjacent neighbor, they all cut it back, and so they're all complaining about the neighbor. You know, how do you define who it is? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
I agree.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Isles. I am the president of LINLA, which is the Long Island Nursery Landscape Association. We're a professional organization of horticulturalists. We number in the hundreds of companies and many more members. They're all professional horticulturalists, a lot of people who hold horticultural degrees and or the Certified Nursery Landscape Professional, which is a professional certification in the state of New York, which we as LINLA administer for this region. These people here are very equipped in plant selection. Some of them do use bamboos in their designs. As a professional organization, we represent people in every segment of the industry, so it will include growers like Rodney. It will include everybody in between as well, from the wholesalers, re-wholesalers, retail garden centers, design build firms, landscape architects, and maintenance companies. So every segment of the industry is represented in our organization. We definitely put forward a professional certification, and we do stress professionalism in our industry. The statement that Rodney Anderson had made about the state of New York already banning the two most egregious bamboos that are out there is correct, and that is through the New York State DEC and administered or actually regulated through Ag and Markets. It's been largely successful. There have not been any sales that I know of those two banned plants on Long Island or anywhere in the state of New York. There's been a very high compliance rate on that. Of course, that doesn't have anything to do with people who already have it existing on their properties. And as was mentioned, it does not in the state law require anybody of removing it from their property, just they are prohibited from transporting or sale, propagation, or transporting of the any of the prohibited plants. The clumping bamboos, really in our mind and in the botanist mind, a totally different animal. They do belong to the same family, but they diverge very sharply as from the clumping and the running. The clumping bamboo has never been spoken of in horticultural circles as being invasive or problematic. But like everything else, if you speak to dog people, they'll always tell you that there's no such thing as a bad dog, there's only bad owners. And I submit that that's the same thing with bamboo. There's no such thing as bad bamboo, it's just that the people who are growing it or have it on their property are uninformed or unengaged in the proper care. So if you want to go ahead and advocate or enforce the state law with the banning of those two that they've already delineated, that would be terrific, and we would be very supportive of that as an industry. But if you want to add clumping to that, I would have to ask respectfully if you could reconsider that, because we have never found that to be problematic in the landscape. It certainly doesn't go into natural areas. Again, if bless you. I ask that you just follow the science, be specific about what it is that you're banning, because there's some misnomers in the wording as it is right now, and to apply educated enforcement of this. I am afraid that if the enforcement agencies go out there on a complaint and see something that's outreaching somebody's property line onto the neighbors, there might be a knee-jerk reaction that, oh, this is bamboo, and therefore we have to implement the procedures of the ordinance, when really it isn't bamboo. And I would hate to have other good horticulturally valuable plant material be maligned because it kind of falls into that catch-all. So if you could be very specific about what it is that you'd like to achieve, and be very specific about what it is that you want to regulate, I think that would get you a better law. So if I would also like to recommend that if you have questions, we have some of the most brilliant people here on Long Island horticulturally. So please reach out to Cornell, reach out to the university out in Farmingdale. their urban horticultural program, and I know that the head of the program had written a letter at our request and had filed it with you guys via email, stating these are very informed, very educated people, so if you want some guidance or if you have some questions, you have that resource, and I recommend that you avail yourself of it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Diane,
you.
Diane, did you receive that letter? Could you have them resend the letter just so it becomes part of the public hearing? Oh, if you could submit, that would be terrific.
Yes.
Diane has it. Okay, no, we have it then. We have it, we're good, yeah.
Hey, good afternoon, my name is John Hogan, Dogwood Drive in Wading River. I'm here, I'm happy that the town has taken some action against bamboo. I trust the professionals that spoke before me, if they planted clumping bamboo, that they know what they're doing, and it would be clumping bamboo, but I don't think everybody that buys bamboo and plants it knows what they're planting. And I have a problem at my house, where my neighbor has it. There's no guesswork involved, it's coming from his yard, and it's coming up in my irrigation vaults, it's coming up behind my shed. It grows, I'd say, probably 2 to 3 feet in 2 days. I go behind the shed one day, there's nothing there. 2 days later, I have a 3-foot stalk of bamboo growing back there. I tried speaking with him about it, nothing's happened. I've been spraying it with chemicals, and I really don't like doing things like that, because what happens is I have grandchildren that come over to the house now. Now I gotta restrict them from going over into a section of my yard because of the bamboo coming up. It's come up within 10 feet of the house, so I would assume this is the running type of bamboo that they're referring to. I really would like to see something done, okay? I mean, if it's, at least for the running bamboo, because I've read things where you have to put a barrier in the ground, like 2 to 3 feet. They're talking about steel, concrete, or some 30 mil plastic, and it's supposed to stick up like 3 to 4 inches out of the ground. So apparently this stuff can really spread and travel, and it's been doing a lot of destruction to my property. And I'm just glad the town has finally taken a stand on it, because I know a lot of towns across Long Island, mostly in Nassau and Western Suffolk, have laws on the books to prevent it. Like I said, they seem to know what they're talking about. They're in the business. If it's clumping bamboo, I really don't mind if clumping bamboo is left out of the law, but the running bamboo, I really think something needs to be done with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Summer Hark, and I live on North Wading River Road.
You can pull the mic down to you.
I'm a little short here. I'm here basically for the same reason that the person who spoke before me is. I'm in favor, so is my husband, of the removal of the bamboo. My neighbor, my house is 5 feet, it's an old house from 1860, is 5 feet from her property line. She has about thousands of stalks of bamboo growing. They're 12 feet tall for the past 10 years, and I have asked her nicely multiple times, you know, let's lift the fence, we'll help you with the cost, let's get rid of the bamboo. She won't take it down. What else can I say? It's growing on my property, it's a few feet tall. My husband and I both work full-time, and we go out there every spring. We're hacking away at it, just like the gentleman who spoke before me. We're spraying it. I say to my neighbor, can you please cut it down? She doesn't care. She throws her hands up and walks away at me. And like I said, this bamboo that's growing is 5 feet from my house, my property line. My house is 5 feet. The actual house structure is 5 feet from her fence where this bamboo is growing. I wake up in the morning from my bedroom window and I look at these 12-foot stalks growing in the wind, and I'm just like, can she cut it down? I know you have to put some type of metal barrier, but if the law passes, and me and my husband are hoping it does, you know, I'm hoping we can get some movement on the person next door, and her bamboo is also growing on Riverhead's property by the road, which I believe is the first 8 or 10 feet Riverhead property owns, and it's growing there as well, and it's taking over our whole front property, and she just doesn't care because it's not near her house. But I am very worried that it's going to encroach my porch and it's going to start invading my house, because we're out there every weekend hacking away at it. It grows underneath. It comes up where you least suspect it. You go out one day, it's this tall, the next month it's that tall, and you spray it, and this takes years to get rid of. So I'm hoping that you guys really do consider passing a law, because I've tried to be nice to my neighbor, and she just walks away from me and just doesn't care. And you should care, because it's your property. It's my property, it's your property. You should care about your property. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to say thank you to everybody for their input. We'll certainly take all comments. under consideration and review the resolution.
All right, but at this point, we're gonna close the public hearing, but we're gonna leave it, open for written comment until, April 13th. And at this point, we'll move on to the next public hearing. It was supposed to start at 2:10, it is now 2:30, and it's, the consideration of a proposed local law to amend chapter 301 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Zoning and Land Development, Article, 45, exterior lighting. Anybody would like to come up and address?
45 or 49?
49, sorry. If anybody. I was like, two Roman knows, I'm like, all right.
I would've said X. Oh,
Yeah. So if anybody, does anybody wanna come up and comment on this? Is Jeff,
Good.
is Jeff here? Jeff, did you wanna come up and address this at all?
Changes the lumen.
Good afternoon, for the record, Jefferson Murphy, Building and Planning Administrator. The law is very simple. Two things that it does is, one is it cleans up the format of the law, it makes it a little easier to read. The second one is that we are actually changing the color or the temperature of light. We're not changing the brightness of light. You take a look at the lighting up above, you see multiple different types of whites. Look at your ceiling, your house, you have a bright white type of white color. If you take a look at different types of whites, you have an eggshell white and some other types of warm white. What this law simply does is make the light a warm white instead of a bright light, so hopefully will decrease the intrusion of light pollution onto neighbor properties from commercial shopping centers.
Okay, thank you. And seeing nobody else come up, I'm going to close this public hearing, but leave it over for written comment again till April 13th. And now we'll move on to the third public hearing, which was supposed to start at 2:15, that is now starting at 2:31, which is a consideration of a proposed local law to amend chapter 301 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Zoning and Development, Article 1, Title, Purpose, Definitions and Interpretation, 301-3, Definition, Word Usage, Floor Area, Commercial. If anybody would like to come up and address the board on that public hearing? Bob, did you want to say anything on this?
There's,
Sorry, Larry.
no, it's
Go
okay,
ahead.
it's not,
Yeah.
this is a very, short, change. Back a while ago, the town, as part of determining floor area with respect to certain uses, specifically hotels and country inns, excluded from calculation of floor area bathroom and ante-rooms, closets, hallways, and foyers. I'm not really sure, I don't remember the date when that amendment was done, but that was done as part of a change to exclude that floor area. This change is proposing to delete that language so that the end result would be that for hotels and country inns previously excluded, bathroom anterooms, closets, hallways, and foyers would now actually be included as part of the floor area calculation when looking at a commercial application. So,
Thank you.
Hi, Larry Oxman. I understand, Bob, what you had said, but I guess I'm wondering what was the reason behind doing this change? The board had, not this board, but a previous board had made the change some time ago. Quite a number of hotels have been built under the current zoning, and I'm wondering why the shift now?
I think part of the effort with this is for transfer of development rights. And these were excluded, as part of if you wanted to increase the density. So it's returning the code to the way it was when the comprehensive plan was first done.
Okay. I represent a property owner. It's Wallow LLC, who owns what some people call formerly the Broad Cove property. That property is zoned TRC, tourist, I guess, resort campus. It does affect this property. That's one of the few uses that this property can be used for, is some type of hospitality, whether it's a resort or a hotel. In this particular zone, it does not allow for transfer of development rights. So therefore, by changing the calculations, it really actually affects this property pretty greatly. The permitted coverage is only 8%. We have almost 100 acres, about 75 of upland, 8%. So what's strange is that you're allowed to build 2 stories, but the FAR, the floor area ratio, is 15%. So I don't know why they did this when they enacted the zone, but you really can't build a full second story above the first story. Now, with the reduction of calculations of floor area ratio, I think that it affects it even more. If in fact the impetus for the change is to spur the development or the use of transfer of development rights, it just doesn't pertain here. And I would ask that this change not affect this particular zone and probably keep it the same for throughout the town that it's been for some period of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Martin Sonlowski, architect. Actually, I'm in attendance today with Lou Salvatico, who owns a couple of hotel projects in Riverhead, one of which is the Hotel Indigo. The proposal that you have, and again, I sort of go along with what Larry says. Originally, it seemed like it was enacted when a couple of hotels were proposed and there were issues with floor area ratio, so it seems like they were accommodated by allowing this to, be taken out, and now for whatever reason, that accommodation is being taken away. During the course of the past few years, as a matter of fact, my job number is 1216, so that means we started the project at the Indigo in 2012, and we're still not there yet, so we've been working on it for 6 years. And that includes expansion to on property to the east of the hotel, which they own, and in the future would certainly entail a future phase that may include some expansion on the hotel property. One of the things that's going to happen when that the eastern property is developed is that those properties have to merge. Given the current FAR of the properties, when the phase 1 project is completed, we will be at 18.8%. We'll have 79,981 square feet of a permitted 85,289. So we're gonna, if you change it, and that includes the current hotel with areas taken out. So if you change this law, we've been working on something for 6 years, you're gonna literally take away what we would anticipate a major part of our phase 2 of the project. So I don't think you can exempt a particular property or a particular project unless it's grandfathered or has a site plan approval. We will not have that. One of the reasons the project has taken as long as it has is due to the fact that Mr. Salvatico and his family that own the properties, they're undergoing a considerable expense. They're actually extending the Riverhead sewer through Tanger 1 to the Indigo site to take all of that effluent out of the Peconic River. It's a huge project. The DEC's been in favor of it. We're very close, or Mr. Salvatico is very close to getting the final approval to start that. We couldn't do any of this other work until that's done. So now he's going to spend millions of dollars on extending a sewer, being a very good steward of the environment by getting all of these nitrogens out of the ground, and all of a sudden at the 11th hour, he's going to get FAR pulled out from under him, which will affect his long-term plan that we started back with in 2012.
And have you been working with the CDA to secure funding for the sewer extension?
I believe he has. If you had any specific questions, I could ask Mr. Salvatico to step forward. But the other thing that I'd like to add is that, and I've seen this time and time again with the town, is that a lot of times, legislation gets passed and regulations get passed with certain intent. And I've found, and it's not just Riverhead, but a lot of towns, pass ordinances, pass amendments along the way, and they're like little bits and pieces, but they're not really coordinated, and they end up sort of creating a town code that is really a mishmash, and you sort of go around in circles trying to find your way through it. the floor area ratio in Riverhead's code is really representative of that, and I think what you need to do, again, instead of just striking, you know, one and a half.
I think it's restoring. This is what was restoring to what was originally done with the
Right.
master plan and
Exactly,
zoning. So
exactly.
it's restoring.
Understood,
Okay.
but, you know, but if you have ever taken a look at what floor area ratio does, now, floor area ratio, if people don't understand it, floor area ratio is the total footage of a building versus the size of the property, whereas ground coverage is just the building footprint. So a one-story building has one ratio, 2 stories, and then 3 stories. Now, in the DRC zone, the current FAR, or the current lot coverage, meaning the maximum lot coverage that a building footprint can be is 10%. And the floor area ratio is also 10%. So it either means you could build a building that meets the lot coverage, but you can't build anything above it because you've already maxed it out, or you can only build a third of the footprint if you want to build 3 stories. The way that the code should be written, the way that it should be, or the way, what you should do, let's put it that way. Because I understand the TDR. I get the whole TDR thing. I personally think I understand it. I think I'm a big supporter of agriculture, but I really think the agriculture community really gets a lot of this because they still farm their property, and you're making commercial developers pay them to develop their property. I get it. If you get past a certain level, I think if you have the current TDR, the current lot coverage, which is 10%, instead of the maximum lot coverage being 15%, or actually, it's still 10%, the maximum FAR should be 30%. So in other words, you could cover 10% of your property, 3 levels gives you 30%. The same with, that's without sewer. With sewer, which Mr. Salvatico is bringing to the property, it increases his floor area, his lot coverage to 15%, but it only increases the floor area ratio to 20%. Again, it doesn't make sense. I think that with sewer, which is a huge benefit and an expense that he's going through, the lot coverage should be 15%, but the FAR should then be 45%. So in other words, you take 15%, you build a second floor, and you build a third floor, which they're permitted, 3 floors, it should be 45%. Now, there's also the column in here that is the TDR column, and that's, the TDR allows you to go to 30% for your lot coverage, and it allows you go up to 60% with TDRs as far as FAR. Realistically, it should be allowed to go to 20, and it should be allowed to then go to 0.9 for FAR. That's going to encourage more sale of TDRs. If somebody wants to build with sewer and with TDRs the maximum amount of footage, I don't think Mr. Salvatico is going to want to go there, but I think what you got to do is look at the floor area ratio versus the lot coverage and have them make sense. You know, a 10% lot coverage, and if you're allowed 3 stories, should be 10% and then 30% FAR, 20/60. In this case, 30/90, which is high, but that 30/90, the payoff there is that developer's going to have to, pay the TDR. So instead of just doing one thing to sort of try to balance things out, is this another chance where the town may want to, instead of passing this legislation now, go back and say, let's take a look at this chart, and let's look at the FAR, and let's look at all the ratios, and let's make sure they make sense, and then maybe, do an adoption that deals with floor area ratio, not only in terms of how it's calculated when you figure it out on paper for a building, but what it really amounts to in terms of the overall development of properties in reality. I think it's just, again, if you could just take a much more
It's a
in-depth look at
comprehensive
it,
look at the whole comprehensive
approach.
plan. I
Absolutely.
understand exactly what you're
So,
saying,
and if there's
that
any-
needs to be done in a lot of, it needs to be done the whole comprehensive plan.
Exactly. It would be better. You don't want to slow things up, but I don't think it's even that hard to do. I think when you look at it and see the things that make sense in the areas that are, zoned for denser development, well, then give the developers what they want, especially if the advantage is bringing the sewer in.
It's the
Give them the
balance.
benefit for the sewer.
It's the balance, that's
Right.
why the whole comprehensive plan
Right.
gets looked at the
Exactly.
same time, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rob Carpenter. I'm the Administrative Director of Long Island Farm Bureau. And as a matter of full disclosure, I sit on the TDR committee that was, I think, just reappointed by the town. going back a little bit into the history books, when the comprehensive master plan was redone, I guess maybe about 10 to 15 years ago, the farmers took an upzoning from 1 acre to 2 acres, which essentially cut their equity in half because they lost the ability to develop their land, which they use as a means of equity when they go to get mortgages for being able to farm. And at the time, the town had agreed to help the farmers by utilizing the TDR program to allow the farmers to preserve their land on a one-for-one basis. This proposal to put the language back to the original way it was is something that the Farm Bureau is in support of, and I understand that there are proposals out there that are based upon the current zoning. But this is something that never should have happened going back whenever it was that it was changed, because it did end up taking away TDRs from the farmers. And that's something that we were opposed at the time and are still very concerned about, that the TDR program is being basically diminished because of changes exactly like this one. So I would encourage that something be done to allow for the change to go back the way it was. And as the TDR committee is currently going through all of the different zoning changes and trying to come up with a way to allow for exceptions so that TDRs can be greater utilized than I believe the 200 or so that have been done over the years. That's something that we're very supportive of and have been working towards to allow for these greater uses. So I would encourage you to pass this as it stands today and continue to look at the master plan to allow for exceptions based upon the current proposals.
Thank you.
And if I could just say, Mr. Carpenter, that I am no longer going to be on the TDR subcommittee because our new elected official, Catherine Kent, our councilwoman, is going to be taking over all of the agricultural issues and the subcommittee. So I would just ask you all to look at the receiving areas for these types of uses and these zoning districts that have been discussed today, to make sure that if a TDR was to be purchased, that it can land on these properties.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. And this is something that we're very eager to get going with, because we believe that the TDR program is a vital part of both preserving the farmland in Riverhead and allowing for greater uses in those zones that it should be allowed for. So I think it's something that we're very excited and looking forward to trying to utilize more TDRs within the town of Riverhead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, and I think we're all committed to utilizing more TDRs.
Rodney Anderson again. I also want to speak in favor of this being brought back as it originally was, as a member of the Farmland Preservation Committee. I know there's been a subcommittee developed to work on a whole entire plan. The town basically is out of money to purchase development rights. We're looking at other options. TDRs have been part of those options for a very, very long time. Just not implemented that well, and we've been working on plans to get that in. I'm sure you're all aware of a lot of those plans being set up, and I would be in favor of this being brought back as well.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else, I will close this public hearing, but leave it over for written comment until Friday, April 13th. So now we can move on to resolutions. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I always forget this. If anybody would like to come and address the board for any of the resolutions before we start?
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. Resolution 244. The resolution talks about extending the option to renew the agreement for 3 years. But the letter only talks about 2 years, from June 4th, 2017 through June 3rd, 2019. So either change the resolution to say 2 years, or rewrite the letter and ask for a 3-year extension. See it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where it says the 3 years.
Fourth whereas.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
That's it.
that's it?
Yep.
Wow. And we almost had that one done.
Nice try.
All right.
Thanks, Sal.
Thank you. This is, I had a question on this one, well, I'll wait till we get to that one. Okay. Did you want to address anything that, on one of the resolutions, or? Yeah, at the end of the resolutions, then we open up for open comments.
Yeah, we'll get the resolution, so I don't leave, not listening, not going back.
All right, Jim, I think this is you, the first one.
Okay, we
She
ready?
hasn't called him yet.
Okay, resolution 218.
Okay.
This is me, you're right. It appoints a student intern to the accounting department. So moved.
A second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 219.
Okay. Home rule request for the governor to include the Riverhead Town census tracts for downtown Riverhead and the contiguous tract for Calverton, EPCAL, in the state's Economic Opportunity Zone program. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 220.
Awards bid for annual construction contract, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes, and I'm happy to say that the annual construction contract prices came back much lower, so the recreation trail at EPCAL should begin shortly with Rosemar Construction, who won the contract. Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 221.
Promote to detective, so moved.
Is that me?
Yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 222.
222 ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Wooten, Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 223.
Ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 224.
Accepts the resignation of a public safety dispatcher, so moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 225.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 226.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish a help wanted advertisement for a part-time clerk, Spanish speaking. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
See.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 227.
Ratifies and accepts the resignation of a call-in detention attendant, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 228.
Classifies action pursuant to SECRA as a type 1 action and refers proposed law to amend chapter 301, parking to require site plan applications for new residential dwelling units to comply with the parking code to involved agencies with a request for lead agency status. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
I'm going to abstain. I own a building in downtown Riverhead.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 229.
State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, classifies action and requests lead agency for special permit and site plan application known as 203 to 213 East Main Street, Riverhead. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes to the lead agency
this is-
status, yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 230.
230 is the State Environmental Quality Review Act, secret classifies action and requests lead agency for a special permit and site plan application known as 1535 Route 58 LLC Car Wash / Restaurant and Retail. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 231.
Authorize attendance at the 2018 New York State Association of Municipal Purchasing Officials Annual Professional Development Conference. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 232.
You know what, we're not listed, nobody's listed.
Oh.
So we'll do, Kathy, yeah.
Set salaries for the 2018 call-in personnel for the Riverhead Recreation Department. So moved.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and I have to thank Judy Dahl and Ray Coyne for working together to come up with a salary schedule that is easy to read.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 233.
And I believe that was accomplished.
Yes.
Set salaries of various recreation employees for the year 2018. So moved.
I'll second again. Moved and seconded.
233.
Yep.
Okay.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 234.
Authorizes attendance at the 2018 New York State Park and Recreation Society's 78th Annual Conference. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 235.
Appoints a member to the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I thought there were other people that were interviewed that were qualified as well. I'm gonna vote no.
Jen, Wooten.
There was a whole host that came out for this particular board. Who said that you want like-minded people in there, and that certainly is not for me, so I'm gonna vote no.
I'm sorry. No? Okay. Jen Smith.
And I have to thank everybody who put their their applications in and for coming in to interview, and I vote yes to this election.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 236.
Adopts a local law to increase salary of town highway superintendent for 2018 fiscal year, subject to permissive referendum. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I like the Geo, what he had to say when he came to the town work session, and I think that if we're gonna hire anybody to figure out what's going on in the municipal garage and to oversee the pump installation and cameras and things of that nature, I thought he made some really good points. So I think that he is a perfect person to get in there and analyze it, and I don't think that there's anybody that could do it better for that type of money for figuring out and analyzing what's going on in the municipal garage. So I will support this resolution and vote yes for the year 2018 to figure out what's going on in the municipal garage.
Wooten.
I can, well, $20,000, that's pretty good money.
Well, it's 10,000 because it's a balance of.
It'll be about 10,000, and for 10,000 is why it's a little more palatable for me. I think there's other things that have to take place that are already starting to take place with that garage as far as clerical staff and accountability and paperwork, which really is what's really sorely needed there. So I think there's a lot of avenues to attack this, and oversight is probably not a bad idea for the rest of this year. So I'll support it for this year, yes.
Jen Smith.
And I appreciate the support of the board, and yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 237.
Adopts a local law amending Chapter 237 entitled Highways, Streets, and Sidewalks of the Riverhead Town Code, Article 4, Obstructions. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 238.
Adopts a local law amending Chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code, Article 9, Snow Events. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I didn't support this resolution when it was brought up by the previous supervisor. It actually failed. There were 3 people that didn't support it at the time. So I will not be supporting this again, I'm voting no.
Wooten,
I think it was an error that we didn't pass this last time. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. And if you thought that we'd be voting on snow stuff, it snowed yesterday, for crying out loud. It's gonna snow again this weekend, so I vote yes.
Jen Smith,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 239.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from Suffolk County Office for the Aging to supplement the town's residential repair program for the elderly. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes,
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 240.
41 pages, huh?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Really?
I did, because it's a long one. It's a long.
Lord have mercy. You gotta put these words on. I'm up to page 29, I'm getting there.
I think everyone's just waiting to go through the list.
That's a long.
Yeah.
I'd always forget them to go to zero, and we can leave it home.
Okay, got it.
Okay, we're there.
Okay. Resolution 240.
That's you, Jody.
Authorizes the creation and appointment of members to a downtown revitalization committee. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes,
Jen Smith.
of course.
Yes, this is just the authorizing of the committee, and then we will be asking for applications, and we'll post that online.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 241.
Rescinds resolution number 474 titled Adopts a Local Law to Amend Chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
A second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
This was the one that was put up
Yes.
in June?
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 242.
242 adopts a local law to amend chapter 289 entitled Vehicle Traffic and Parking Regulations of the Riverhead Town Code, 289-2, stop and yield intersections, railroad crossing, parking fields, Mastro Realty subdivision off Youngs Avenue, Calverton. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 243.
Authorizes execution of contract with Seed Clam Administrator. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
I vote yes. I'd love to see us to get more money involved in this program. We're way behind what the other East End towns are doing. It's an excellent program, getting the seed clams going out. But, if you look at what the other towns are doing and what we're doing, I know money's tight, I understand that.
Actually, I
but
think there may be, a grant money available for this, so we can look into that.
Good.
okay, Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes, thank God we got Dave Lassard who's willing to work for peanuts. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 244. What was the change you were making?
Just in this, the fourth whereas, it's changing to a two-year period.
Well, it was 3-year periods of time is what the original agreement went, and they just kinda went back, because the original agreement went back to 2001. And I don't wanna go through the whole recitation, but really what I think the letter probably should have done was it probably should have been June 4, 2016 through June 3, 2019. So it is 3 years, but we're kinda going back retroactively.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it at 3 years, and
Yes.
it should go back to
Yeah,
2000?
there were 3-year extensions of time each time, and it went from, as indicated, 2001, the first extension would have been 2004, next one would have been 7,
16,
next one
right,
would have been
16 to
10.
19, you're right.
Yeah, so that's the reason why. We're just catching up with some housekeeping, and
Okay.
the last extension should have been good through 2016.
Okay.
Good the way it is?
Yeah, the letter's good, and the resolution is correct. It's a
Okay,
3-year
so we're
period, but
leaving
it's,
it
but
as
part of
is.
that's including some backdating.
All right. So,
Resolution 244 exercises an option to renew an agreement with Fundamental Business Services Incorporated for parking violation enforcement services. So moved, as amended.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Is that really how you spell fundamental? Is that how you spell it? Is that the business name? I vote yes, by the way.
Jen Smith.
No, it isn't. Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Well,
Resolution-
Catherine's reading the next one. I know.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Resolution 245.
Usually you get the long
All
one.
right, move to adjourn.
I'm a little bit.
Authorizes Lawrence M. Levy, non-pro-tunc, to provide additional cablecast production services regarding the continuation of public hearing regarding the qualified and eligible status of Calverton Aviation and Technology, LLC, to purchase and develop premises known as Enterprise Park at Calverton on March 19th, 2018, 6 o'clock p.m. at the Pulaski Street Elementary School, 300 Pulaski Street, Riverhead, and cablecast production of the engineering department's stormwater presentation at the Roanoke Elementary School, 540 Roanoke Avenue, Riverhead, on March 7th, 2018, and contractual payment for services rendered. So moved.
Who wrote that? Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Woogan.
All that just to say he wants to get paid. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution
I like pay
adopted.
the bills.
Resolution 246.
Ratifies reappointment of a member to the Riverhead Farmland Preservation Committee. So moved.
Is this for
I thought
the,
we taking these in groups?
yeah, we could take
Okay.
246 through, 248 together.
246,
What about,
246, 247, and 248 we
247.
can take together.
oh, they're all ratified.
Yeah.
Take-
and 248.
249,
that's a regular.
no, that's a regular appointment, not a reappointment. So we
Okay,
can
so 246 and 248 all ratifies the reappointment of members to the Riverhead Farmland Preservation Committee. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 246 through 248 are adopted. Resolution 249.
Appoints member to Riverhead Farmland Preservation Committee. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 250.
Approves the Chapter 255 application of Sports Car Club of America, New York Region for the solo driving event. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
This is at Splish Splash, and there are several dates in there if anybody's interested. Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 251.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a license agreement renewal letter with Wadington Realty Group. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 252.
Appoints member to the Conservation Advisory Council. So moved.
I don't got that.
Seconded.
It's, just
252.
252 is prior to that, yeah.
That's Hubbard. Appoints member to Architectural Review Board. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Absolutely. Very impressed by him. Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 253.
Go ahead, you like reading them, go ahead. Just grab it.
I did teach reading. Appoints member to the Conservation Advisory Council. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 254.
Can I do this one?
I guess so.
Appoints member to the Recreation Advisory Committee. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Very pleased to have Dwayne Eliezer on board. He's been very active in our community. He helped start the Stop the Violence basketball tournament, so I welcome him aboard. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 255.
This, you wanna do
You wanna do-
255 to 258 for this one?
Sure. We'd like to call resolutions 255 through 258. This is reappointing members to the Recreation Advisory Committee. I make a motion to move the resolution 255 to 258.
So moved.
Moved and-
Seconded, rather.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 255 through 258 are adopted. Resolution 259.
Reassigns the salary of an ordinance inspector. So moved.
Seconded.
Question?
Yep.
I thought during discussions that,
Wait, you know what, just,
There was
it's,
just-
it's you are pertaining to this one?
yeah,
Okay, so then just a second. Moved and seconded, and then discussion, so.
right, that's why I said
Yeah.
question before we started voting.
No, yeah, I know, but you just have to take the moved in second. Go ahead.
It
Go.
was moved and
Go, go.
seconded. I thought you couldn't discuss it until it was moved and seconded.
Right, it's moved and seconded. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought during discussions that there was a different step increase for this. I didn't realize, I thought it was a two-step, Bob. Am I wrong? This doesn't reflect what I think we were trying to do.
I don't remember specifically the number. I thought there was a salary number that the board had kind of indicated they were looking for.
That was my understanding.
As opposed to the step increase, there was a number. I
Right.
thought.
Which
The way-
brought it
it
to
was-
that step.
I remember it being kind of, we talked about two, and then I think there was a number that was
We
proposed.
looked at a couple of steps, right? We're looking at, right, I thought we were looking between 4,000 and 5,000, I thought, and this looks like less than
Considerably
two-
less.
less than
My
1,500.
My suggestion would be we can vote on this, and then we can readdress.
Okay.
Because otherwise this will get tabled,
Right, right.
and
Well,
so,
I understand all that. It just is not what I came out of that meeting with, unless I sleep sometimes, but I wasn't sleeping during this, so. All right, you can call the vote.
did you want to table, did you
No,
want to ask to
no, it's
table it, or
already
do you
moved
want
and
to vote?
seconded, it's too late.
No, you can do that.
No, we'll vote on it now.
Okay.
We'll just, if we have to ratify or just do
I'll
something.
look at my notes, because
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I remember going around a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so
Alright.
moved and seconded, vote
Okay.
on this as it stands.
Kent,
I'm gonna vote no because I wanna revisit this and look at it again.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
I'm gonna vote yes, so it's a little something, a little sugar before we get the real salt, so I'll vote yes.
okay. Jen Smith,
I'm gonna vote yes on this.
okay, resolution adopted. Resolution 260.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a stipulation with the Riverhead PBA. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
This is,
Yes.
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 Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 261.
Pays bills. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 262.
262 is a resolution to acknowledge supervisor's termination, of the town budget officer. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
He was an at-will employee. Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 263.
Ratifies agreement with telecom data service. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
I can tell you, it's been a long, hard fight. I appreciate the supervisor and her looking into this when she first got elected, coming in at the last minute, and really, moving forward to finally get us on some voice what do they call it, VoIP?
VoIP.
Voice
Voice
over
over
IP.
internet.
This is a good start, so I vote yes.
Jen Smith.
I vote yes, that'd be a nice savings for the town. I think it's close to, 3,000, a little over 3,000 a month, in savings, so nice job, Jim, bringing it forward.
Not to pay Gio, anyway.
Resolution adopted.
I just have some resolutions that I would like to take off the floor. I think you guys had that these were just some awards from bids, so I'd like to take resolution 264 through God bless you, 269 off the floor. One is for awards bids for auto trucks and repairs, awards bids for automotive parts, 2018. It's, awards bid for Ford automotive replacement parts, and the, awards bid for general hardware items. Rejects and repost, notice to bidders for the propane fuel, we had no response last time. And the last one is awards bids for auto parts. These came in, at the last minute, but some of the services need to be used before we have the next meeting, so.
I make the motion, we take resolutions 264 through 269 off the floor.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolutions 264 through 269 are taken off the floor.
Can I do them as a group for vote? or
I would
them
do each one
Do
different
it
because they're
separately?
kinda different.
Okay.
I do all of that. Yeah, covered up.
The first one is,
Up. 264, awards bid for auto and truck repairs. So moved.
Seconded?
moved and seconded, vote please.
Hold on. Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 265.
Awards bids for automotive parts 2018, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 266.
Awards bid for Ford automotive replacement parts. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 267.
Awards bid for general hardware items, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 268.
Rejects and repost notice to bidders for propane fuel. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 269.
Awards bid for truck parts, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, that was a lot of resolutions today. At this point, if anybody would like to come up and address the board on any items, please come up and state your name.
Who's this guy again?
Hi, I'm Greg Fisher from Calverton. I have the distinction of running against all three assessors currently in office. So I got to look into workload on the assessors over time. And at this point, though all three are fine individuals, and I'm not disparaging the office or their performance, their quality of service, and I thank them for their service, the workload does not justify three assessors at all at this time. So I'd ask the board to consider, in a work session, reducing the number of assessors in Riverhead. And I understand that there are persons in that office considering retirement, so it could be done by attrition. In these times where budget pressures are huge, of course, there'd be a great savings. Interimly to making that decision, you might want to establish metrics or measures of what's actually being done in the office, how many appeals, how many new applications, so that you can gauge and compare what's actually being done. I understand also that the office is taking on other work, out-of-title work, which on some of the things may not be appropriate or may not be legal, actually, for some of the work they're taking on. So really as a cost-saving measure to reduce taxpayer costs, to consider cutting that down. Now, I noticed Mr. Wooten's face about when I talked about legality.
Well, the only good thing about it is if you were elected, you'd be the first one out. That's the only good thing about it.
Well, when you're talking about tax preparation, and they're doing tax preparation, and they are being,
You're making a lot of allegations that we have no knowledge of.
well,
And
they
you
aren't
just
doing.
throw stuff out there. If it
Well,
sticks
well,
on
you
the
really
wall, it
have a
sticks on the
problem with
wall.
this, but they're doing tax preparation, and isn't that a licensed service
These
in
are
the
all
state of
elected
New York?
officials, so
They're
take
not
it up
really
with
supposed to be
balance.
doing it at all, but if you choose to defend that, that's
These
fine.
aren't town employees, these are elected officials.
Okay, well, they're still not supposed to be doing tax preparation.
Well, that's your saying. That's what you say.
Well, if they work
Doesn't
for
make it
H&R
so.
Block, they'd have to be paid, they'd have to be licensed to do tax preparation.
You're assuming they're not.
So did
Well,
you
they're
wanna
not,
just?
are they?
Did you
But
wanna finish?
I don't know.
rather
doing
than
it.
go there, we're really talking about that those town employees are not busy doing assessments the way they might have been in the past during a greater building
May or
cycle.
may not. It's,
Well, I'm saying that they're not, and you can measure it. Or you could just let it go to waste.
And I
Whatever.
would like to just say that the assessors, a few years ago, took on all of the grievances where we were hiring outside counsel and we were paying about $250,000. So we are saving that money because the assessors have taken on the role of handling the grievances instead of having an outside attorney do it.
Well accepted, and things have calmed down somewhat, and there aren't as many grievances. So, I think it's appropriate to measure and to consider if that's an appropriate decision or not. And my opinion is it is, and 35 years in business consulting, I'm the East End representative for most of the SCORE, Service Corps retired executive work, U.S. Department of Commerce, Small Business Administration. I own multiple properties and I feel the tax consequences in my own pocket. So I'm of course very interested in tax reduction and cost reduction. And I will leave it at that. It's your discretion as to whether you really want to measure the effectiveness of the department or not, and measure whether you need multiple, 3 assessors or 1, like so many other towns have.
Okay.
Bigger towns. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And you forgot to mention that you had the best campaign piece, which was you sitting in the middle of that pumpkin patch with the Pick Me sign above it.
I love it.
Now,
Not everybody likes pumpkins.
was that? He
That
runs
was
for
my
everything.
Favorite one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Angela Vito, South Jamesport. I'm here this afternoon to voice my concerns with regard as we go forward with the qualified and eligible hearings and proceedings on the potential sale through the CDA of EPCAL. My understanding was that as a town board, at the first evening that we were all here, and very crowded and cramped in here, for the qualified and eligible hearing, had decided at the end of that hearing, because of the length of that particular evening, that a second evening or day would be held for such questions. And at that time, every member of the board would present publicly their questions with regard to the qualified and eligible status of the applicant before us. And it's very disappointing and very sad for me to see Councilwoman Jody Giglio doing this in the dark. We will never know what questions were asked in your 4-hour visit with them. There was no one there recording them so that they could become part of the public record. It's a very, very big breach of trust with the public here in the town of Riverhead, and because of that, I would ask that you recuse yourself from voting on the final determination for qualified and eligible for the proposal in front of us.
And I would just like to say that I've been asking the supervisor for a few weeks to have a public discussion on the questions that were asked, and when they did ask me to sit with them and have a meeting, because I think it's important too to have a public discussion with our questions. And I also sent her an email asking for a public discussion on it.
But you did not you did not hold a public discussion.
I
You went
didn't.
privately
what?
to New York City and spent, by Ms. Giglio, I'm sorry, I have the floor.
Go ahead.
You went and spent 4 hours privately discussing and asking your questions. There is no record of that. And saying that you're going to include your notes in some record in that, it just doesn't, it has the taint of not being trustworthy. They should have been, you should have had someone there recording them, and saying that you're asking the town supervisor, don't take us off in the woods on another thing here, okay? Ask the town supervisor for your questions, okay, that you want to publicly do them. You went and privately did this.
No, it was
You took a step that was against what, as a board, you all agreed that you would do. Excuse me, Mr. Wooten, a
Yes,
little
what
bit
did I
of
do for you?
respect for the public.
I was telling her to let you speak and
little
stop
piece-
interrupting you. So I was being very respectful.
Okay, I'm just asking, will you recuse yourself, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Shame on you.
And just.
And I would just like to say for the record, if I may, that I was approached at the Chamber of Commerce meeting on March 7th because I was the only town board member there and asked to discuss this matter. I did consult with attorneys. They said that during the adjournment process, I could speak with the applicant, and that's what I did. I have not been asked by our attorneys, and I have not been told by our attorneys that I should recuse myself. So I will not be recusing myself. I will be more than happy to discuss my notes with the board at a public work session, because I don't think that those questions should be discussed in executive session, as is what was proposed.
I think
just
hiding
have to-
behind, I think hiding
An-
behind
Angela,
legal,
just-
no, hiding behind lawyers, okay, is a coward's way of approaching this, okay? You
Okay.
did something wrong,
No, I
Jody,
did not.
and you need to be accountable for it.
In my opinion, I did not. In your opinion, I did.
From a member of the public, you're supposed to be working on my behalf. Who
Yes.
knows what you discussed with
I
them?
was. I
Okay,
was working on your
Who knows who paid
behalf.
for your trip into Manhattan?
I paid for my
Who knows if you
trip.
were paid for changing your vote, as you said you were going to change?
No,
You
I-
announced you were changing your vote before you guys even voted.
Who said I was changing my
You
vote?
said you were 180 degree around. circle, you
well,
came around 180 degrees, Jody.
That's a misstatement.
No, it
because-
isn't.
Yes, it is. We are still evaluating the questions and answers.
The town board is, but you've made your decision.
No, I have not made my decision.
I'm sorry, I just think you need to
It's gospel.
recuse yourself
No,
from
you
this.
know what,
So that the
Angela,
town can reinvest its trust in you.
I respectfully disagree with you, and by my meeting with them, it did not change the project description, it did not change the outcome of the project description, it did not change the contract, it did not change the dollar amount.
No one
It
is
was
saying
my
that it
vetting-
did.
It was my vetting the applicant and doing my due diligence. And if you disagree with that, then that is your opinion to disagree with
No, that's
you.
not due diligence.
I disagree.
You're a member of a
Okay.
board that agreed to do this publicly. It doesn't matter
Have
whether
we-
or not
don't you
things
find it
changed or didn't
odd-
change.
Don't you find it odd that we haven't had any public discussions on this? Where do you think those discussions are taking
Well,
place?
this is where I have, the public discussion is the qualified and eligible hearing. And that is the public discussion on whether they are qualified and eligible, and that's where it takes place. And also, speaking of our attorneys, you did not consult with the attorneys that we are using from the town to go in for the discussions, and when it was discussed with our attorneys, our attorneys advised against it. You did not ask for any discussion with our attorneys prior to going into
Because
the
I
meeting.
didn't-
And then after the meeting, when it was discovered that you had gone, it was against the advice of our attorneys to have spoken to them privately while in the middle of our qualified and eligible hearing.
Right.
So I just wanna get that straightened out.
Okay, I did not believe I was doing anything wrong in going out and vetting an applicant that is looking to buy EPCAL, which is the biggest deal in this town. And after, when the attorneys told me that they strongly advised against it because it could be misconstrued as a false promise or collusion, and they advised me not to discuss anything further with the applicant, I said, okay, I won't. But there was never any mention to me to recuse myself, there were never any false promises, and there was never any collusion. And the questions that I asked of them are the questions that they responded to at the qualified and eligible hearing, along with bringing documentation to support the questions that I asked. So if you would like to ask me, and if you would like to look at my notes with my questions, I will publicly share them with anybody that is interested in knowing about it. And those are the questions that were answered at the second qualified and eligible hearing on the record.
The point is that no one knows what those questions are, and you can have 100 pages of notes.
Okay, well-
And there could be something that could be left out of them. And you were not in the process of vetting a potential buyer. You're not vetting them. We're in a process, we're at the end of a period for qualified and eligible. We're no longer vetting.
We've never had
people.
any vetting or discussions on this applicant.
This is,
Never.
Jody, you behaved horribly against the people here in town, and I think you need to recuse
go.
yourself.
I
It's
disagree.
my own, no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope the Q and E was the vetting.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
We'll adjourn.
Seeing nobody else, can I have a first and second to adjourn the meeting?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Show some respect.